Good morning, everyone. Today is March 24th, 2025, and you're listening to Beyond the Headlines, the podcast that dives deeper into the stories shaping our world. From global affairs, politics, to stock markets and the economy, I'm your host, Austin Cartwright. Let's dive in. Starting with breaking news, and I can't believe I'm saying this because this is actually shocking, a group chat on the confidential messaging app Signal got leaked today. In this group chat were members such as J.D. Vance, the Vice President, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and other administrative members of the White House. What were they talking about? They were talking about battle plans against the Houthis in Yemen. And so you would think, these messages got leaked, what happened? Did China or Russia hack into the Signal app? Was there a mole in the White House? No, none of the above. Someone invited a reporter, Jeffrey Goldberg, into the group chat on accident, and from there he leaked the messages and wrote an article in The Atlantic about the group chat. Why in the world would you use the Signal app to talk about high-level military operations against the Houthis in Yemen? I don't understand it. But moving on to geopolitics, let's take a look at Turkey. So Turkey, as I reported last week, is going through some stuff. Erdogan, the president, removed his main political rival last week in the election, which signals that Turkey is becoming more of an autocracy as the months go by. And the citizens are not having it. Constant protests and riots flood the streets of Turkey every single day since this move. Moving on, let's look at something that the United States did that is baffling many. The United States has begun removing bounties on key Taliban leaders, and for a reason that I am not seeing, and I'm not the only one. Askari Media Group, who has been on the Sean Ryan Show, has said that this is a move that we will definitely regret, and I'm kind of wondering the same. I'm wondering what the benefits are. The largest of these examples was the removal of a $10 million bounty for any information that leads to the arrest of a key Taliban leader. This leader is Sarajuddin Haqqani. Let's take a quick look at Russia and Ukraine before we move on to the politics section. It looks like nothing has changed, really, between Ukraine and Russia. Constant missile strikes and ground operations are still going on. In addition to these boots-on-the-ground attacks from Russia and Ukraine, Russia has began using cyber attacks. Well, they've been using it this whole time, but a specific example this past week was where Russia shut down a major railway service provider of Ukraine, and which was meant to cause widespread panic across the city. However, it just resulted in longer wait times for the customers. Moving over to politics, President Trump has said that he will enact a 25% tariff on any country that buys oil or gas from Venezuela. This move comes amid pushback from the deportation of Venezuelan migrants, in which lawsuits have been filed, and many news articles are saying that these Venezuelan migrants were treated inhumanely, and so this was the response by the White House. Moving on to global markets, the United Arab Emirates has said that they will commit $1.4 trillion in investments to the United States. These investments will be targeted towards U.S. infrastructure. They will be targeted towards semiconductor manufacturing. And we've already seen a very large investment into semiconductor manufacturing from Taiwan. So you can see the current administration's push to become self-sufficient in this regard, so that if anything happened between China and Taiwan, the United States economy would not be nearly as affected as it would be if they solely relied on Taiwan. Other things that these investments will be going towards will be U.S. manufacturing and other industries that are the backbone of a country's success. And let's look at the major indexes for today. The Dow closed up 1.42%, the S&P up 1.76%, and the Nasdaq up 2.27%. So a big day for the index. However, let's look at the year-to-date performance from January 2025 to now. There's only one index that has gone above a 0% return, and that is the Dow. Can you guess? Can you guess what it is? 0.1% positive return. Both the S&P and the Nasdaq are down below negative 4% returns, both of them. So So the markets are taking a very, very, very hard hit amid the tariffs, the trade wars, as well as the decisions from the Fed to keep rates steady. But that is all I had for you today. Thank you so much for joining me on Beyond the Headlines. Where the story doesn't end, it evolves. Keep exploring, keep questioning, go beyond.